Cook more, they say, but where to begin? Hello, my dear friends. Raisa here from the Nutrinut. Welcome to the Nutrinut YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, as always, with arms wide open, I welcome you to the family. And if it's not your first time and you've been part of the community for a while, thank you so much, as always, for being with me in this amazing journey to eating in a more sustainable and delicious and nutritious way. When it comes to nutrition, you will typically find me sharing one main tip, and that is that we should all be cooking more. Easier said than done, right? And that's why this video is all about the 5 main tips for any beginner to cook, to start their journey in the kitchen in a smoother, less stressful, and more pleasant, let's say. Remember that to make changes in your life, in your lifestyle, in your routine, and if you want them to actually be long-term, you have to make them work for you. Because if not, if you're having to jump through multiple hoops and it's very stressful, it's a very overwhelming process, there's a very high chance that you are not going to stick to that. And I want you to succeed, as always. Before even diving into all of the amazing stuff that I want to share with you guys, the main thing that I want you to remember is that it does not have to be perfect, right? You're going to make mistakes along the way. It's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be full of ups and downs and circles and loops. And maybe you'll take a few steps back, then you'll continue going, forward. There is no perfection. There's no perfect formula to being successful in cooking more. And in fact, it doesn't even mean that you have to cook 100% of the time. I always like to say, pick the proportion that works for you. So for example, if you want to do 70% of your meals home cooked, 30% being more flexible, 80%, 20%, 90%, 10%, or even if you want to kind of start small and do 50-50, 60-40, you get the idea. Just pick a percentage of your meals where you're going to commit to cooking, to making them yourself, fresh, with fresh ingredients, with basic ingredients that you will find in the supermarket, and not those little science experiments that we tend to see in packaged food. Well, let's get started then. Number 1, make time for it. I know this sounds very obvious, but here's the thing. You have to make time to go to the supermarket. You have to make time to kind of do like the pre-prepping. What that means is you're washing, chopping, putting things away, if you have to freeze anything, all of that stuff. And for the actual cooking, if you just try to wing it, that just leaves a lot of room for it not to happen. Because typically when you leave things to chance, there is a likelihood that it's not going to happen. Am I lying? The first thing that I want you to do is go into your little planner, whether it's written, whether it's in your phone, where you can block out dates. And if you want to go the extra mile, even plan a specific time of the day that you are going to do each activity. Trust me, it will make a huge difference. And this will be like the very first step to set you up for amazing success in the kitchen. The second thing, every time that you're about to step into a kitchen, the very first thing that I want you to do is actually assess your mood. And this I like to tell people, even if they're not a beginner in the kitchen, if there's someone who typically meal preps and has been doing it for a while, check if you're feeling tired, check if you're kind of like not really feeling it, if you're a little moody, or if you're excited, feeling creative, very patient. It makes a huge difference, and I'll tell you why. When you're not really feeling it, the last thing that you want to do is stay long hours making complicated and elaborate dishes that take multiple steps and that will keep you there for a longer period, because you're already not feeling it. So chances are that you're not going to be happy during the entire process. And believe me, your mood can even splash into the end result and the outcome of your recipe. So there will be actually a very good chance that you will not be too happy with how it comes out. So you're going to end up putting all this effort into it, not coming out happy with the result. And these are the types of things that demotivate us when we are trying to implement changes, right? These are the things that can set us back if we constantly are running into this, right? So if we always forget to assess our mood and we, put these goals for ourselves to, okay, today I want to make I don't know, 10-step lasagna from scratch, all of my sauces, all of my fillings, I want to make my own dough, all of this stuff. That's not setting yourself up for success. When you're feeling a little bit keep it very simple, something that it's a very easy go-to kind of thing, like a little quinoa stir fry or something that is going to take you like 30 minutes max, that it's going to come out okay because you're so used to prepping it, and that won't really overburden you. Now, if you are feeling creative, your creative juices are flowing, your kitchen mojo is there and you're all ready to create your dish, and then those are the moments that I invite you to go let your imagination take over, let your senses take over in the kitchen, and go explore, go have fun, because cooking is also a way of expressing yourself of who you are as a person. Some people like to paint, others are into music. Cooking can also be a form of art and self-expression, but you have to know when you're feeling it. Number 3 from the list is keep it simple for the majority of the time. What I mean by this is that we eat every single day, right? And many of us are cooking not only for one, but maybe for the entire family. So we want to avoid getting too complicated too often. If every single day you find yourself having to spend multiple hours cooking, it does take up a lot of your time, of your energy, of your, I would say even your personal resources, let's say. A really good strategy that I like to use with my clients is the bowl method. I want you to think of those restaurants where you build your bowl, right? So they usually give you options of grains and a base, so you can pick either for your base grains or salad or something like that. Then you have your protein options, and then you have your vegetables or boosters, something like that. So think in that direction. It's a very good strategy if you are into meal prepping. So in the beginning of the week or whenever you want to meal prep, you're going to choose 1 or 2 base options for your bowls. So either if you want a grain or a salad, up to you. You pick 2 or 3 protein options. Again, it really depends on how much variety you enjoy. If you're someone who can eat the same thing every single day, you can even do 1 protein option. So whether those are any type of beans, tofu, even if you're still including meat into your day-to-day, you can put like a fish, chicken, again, up to you. It really is depending on what you're into. The beauty of the bowl method is that you can really personalize it to your needs and your preferences. And last but not least, you're going to pick about 3 to 5 different veggie options. And then what you're going to do after everything is cooked, you're just going to mix and match and create different combinations throughout the week. If what I just shared with you sounds really interesting and you want to learn a little bit more, I am going to include in the description Meal Prep Like a Boss, which is a guide teaching you how to meal prep in a very easy, relaxed way, and it will teach you step by step the bowl method, including some examples so you can implement it into your day-to-day. Number 4, make your dishes stand out with fresh herbs. My cooking really went to the next level when I started using fresh herbs. And the great thing about fresh herbs is that first, you don't have to buy it every single week. You can actually have little pots in your house. You don't even need a garden to have fresh herbs in your kitchen. So things like basil grows very well just in any window that gets sun. I love using fresh basil. I think that that's a really good one. Another one is fresh oregano. Those are really very low maintenance and you get a lot of flavor. It's going to be a lot cheaper than having to buy, the fresh thing every time in the supermarket. It's also more eco-friendly because you're not buying the stuff that comes in plastic, and your body is going to get so much more nutrition than the processed, than the powder stuff. Because remember, the moment that you pluck a fruit, a veggie, a leaf out of the actual plant, it starts to lose some of its nutrients. So the ideal scenario for you to get the most nutrition possible is to have it as soon as you pluck it out, right out of nature. But if this sounds like a lot and you're not really in the mood to test out your green thumb just yet, there are a few different things that you can do to really boost the flavor of your dishes. Before I start any single dish, I will use fresh onion and fresh garlic, and I'll saute both of them in a little bit of olive oil, and that kind of sets the tone for my dish. Instead of using the powdered stuff, the fresh one will offer you more nutrients again, more flavor, and even the smell like in your kitchen is just gonna be so amazing. A couple of other things that you can do is actually play with the sweetness and acidity of a dish. Even if a dish is not sweet and it's savory, adding a little bit of sweetness can give it more of a full, complete flavor as opposed to just a flat one. Does that make sense? And typically very little will go a long way of things like brown sugar, honey, maple. It's just to add a little special touch, a special something to your dish. As I mentioned, the acidity of a dish as well, it's something that you can definitely play with. And the best way that you can do that is by using fresh lemon or lime, or even honestly, sometimes I have some key lime, and they're very tiny, at least the ones from my garden. So it's just to add a little special touch, and it really opens up the flavors for your taste buds. It's not for your dish to taste like sugar or for it to taste like lemon. It's really just to give that experience for your taste buds. And it's really amazing how it just can really transform your dish just by playing with these little things. And typically when I'm done cooking, I do like to drizzle my dishes with a little olive oil. Now it's already when the stove is off, or it's not being exposed to the heat, because then it will really maintain those properties and those healthy fats from the olive oil, and it just adds amazing flavor. Like right when you're done, right when you're about to serve your dish, just drizzle a little bit of olive oil to again give it a nice smooth texture and flavor, and just allow things to come together. And remember, fat soluble vitamins like A, E, and K, they all need fat to be absorbed into the body. So this will even help with the nutrient absorption, and so you can get the most out of your meals and your dishes. Now, tip number 5 is a very important one for me, because if you've seen my videos in the past, you know that I hate to wash dishes. So my tip for you is clean as you go. Honestly, the last thing that I need to see on my sink after I'm done cooking is just like a huge pile of pots and pans that I have to deal with after putting all this effort and love into cooking my dishes. So what I learned, and this I would watch my mom doing, and I always thought she was just kind of overreacting. I would call her kind of like a neat freak in a very loving way, okay? Or Mrs. Clean. I think she called herself Mrs. Clean at some point. I don't know. But this is something that she always did, which is cleaning everything. When she was done with a pot, she would already kind of wash it and put it to dry, and just really leaving a clean surface throughout the whole process. And I learned that once I started doing that, I started to feel a lot less overwhelmed. And once I was done cooking, I was actually basically done. Probably missing like one last pot or something like that. But I could just sit and enjoy my meal without stressing over what was waiting for me in that sink in the kitchen. I also wanted to share, I guess, a little, we'll call it a bonus tip of sorts. When you first start to cook, you can definitely start with things that you really already know that you enjoy and kind of stay in your safe zone, just in the beginning. But then what I want you to do is every single week, try something new, whether it's a new vegetable or a new preparation of something, because only then will you actually learn different combinations, different flavors that you enjoy that you never even knew were possible. Well, that concludes our little beginner's guide to cooking more, stressing less. I hope this helped you feel a little bit more confident going into your home chef journey. Let's call it that. Let me know in the comments section which tip really spoke to you. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Nutrinut so you don't miss another video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time. Remember that healthy fat